Welcome to Forensic Friday,
where we examine the intersection of true crime, psychology, and the heart of being human in the middle of it all. Well, hello, everyone.
Hi.
We are recording in between things, which we don't do often, but today we are under the gun.
Doing the best we can.
We do some of our best work, though, I feel like, when we have a little tiny bit of time.
Yes.
So we wanted to do a really quick mini on the concept of predominant aggressor and how this works in Colorado, because we've done a few female cases. We did the Holly case last week. And we've had some genuine questions about that.
Yeah.
What does it look like with women in these relationships? Was she in charge or was he in charge? And there were a lot of questions about that.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you to imagine police rolling up to a scene. They've gotten a 911 call from one of the partners or both, or a child or a neighbor, and they're rolling in with whatever information they have.
Okay.
Okay. And I know you can picture that because we read this scenario
all the
every
time.
day. But if you're at home, I want you to kind of picture that. Okay. So in the state of Colorado, we have the laws set up in such a way where if there is domestic violence, by definition, then one party will be arrested. This would have saved Gabby Petito's life, I believe.
100%.
This is a very important legal change that has happened that has made our jobs easier, just in the sense that I think it prevents lethality.
Yes. Also, really quick side note, I do believe at that time in Utah, the law was in place. They just didn't follow it.
They did not follow it. That's true. Because we had a Deputy Doodah moment where someone was talking about his ex-wife. Or
Gosh.
wife. Maybe his current wife. I don't know. Either way.
It was his ex-wife.
It was giving.
I don't know, actually.
It was giving. If it wasn't, it may be now.
Yeah. It would be if it were me.
That was the vibe.
If I were the wife.
Absolutely. So basically, when I look at this, I see a lot of room for this to be implemented really well or really poorly. So when they implemented this, what they noticed really quickly is the arrests of men increased by like 36%. Increase in women was 466%. So here's the deal.
Okay.
Victim advocates will tell you too many women are being arrested. And I would actually agree with that. I think too many women are being arrested. How many is too many is a question that only research can solve.
100%.
Because the truth is, I think it is still safer than what we had before. But women are more likely now to get arrested for several reasons. One is they are more likely to be doing the abusive behavior based on my own anecdotal evidence, working with women for years and years.
Yeah.
But also, I think that these laws and the way that they're implemented, women are going to get scooped up in that sometimes inappropriately. So we have to talk through it a little bit.
Okay.
So the cops get there, right? And there's this thing happening. People are crying, yelling, whatever's happening. Maybe there's broken things on the floor. The cops roll up and they're supposed to do a predominant aggressor analysis. And we've said this before, but I just want to say one more time too. An intimate relationship, when we're looking at aggression, can be spouses, former spouses, past and present unmarried couples, people who've been parents to the same child, regardless of whether the people have been married or have lived together at any time. And technically, a one-night stand or a roommate situation that was a little bit complicated at one point can be an intimate partnership now or 5 years from now.
Yes.
So you just have to keep that. If you had sex with somebody or even had a romantic understanding between you, it can be considered an intimate partner depending on the situation.
Yes.
Okay. So predominant aggressor analysis. Number one, this is what the police officers are supposed to be thinking through when they're deciding who to arrest when they figure out there have been acts of domestic violence. And they can arrest no one. They can arrest one partner or they can arrest both partners. But those are their options, right? Number one is any prior complaints of domestic violence. Every single time the cops are called, dispatches contacted, there is a record. It may not be a formal police report charge, but there's a record.
Yep.
So they are supposed to consider the history. Number
supposed
two.
To.
Huh?
Supposed to.
They're supposed to. And again, when everything's happening really fast, we've talked about confirmation bias, right? There's a lot happening. They're supposed to consider that. They're supposed to consider the relative severity of the injuries on each person. And our lovely Sandy Campanella told us that, just because somebody punches you doesn't mean you can strangle them, right? Like, it has to be, you've got to look at some of those things. The likelihood of future injury to each person if this continues, and the possibility that one of the people acted in self-defense, right? So looking at what are the injuries, and they also have to protect the victim and children. So officers have to do the thing that's going to keep people alive. That's really their thing. And we know statistically men should be arrested to keep women alive. I'm not saying every time. I'm just saying statistically.
Right.
Right. We're more likely to save a life if we arrest a man. Sorry, not sorry. That's just the statistic. What do you think, Nat, when you hear the 4 primary aggressor criteria that they're going through in their analysis, and you're picturing somebody have to do what we do in an eval, where we have time to sit with it and read reports and everything else? If you're an officer on the scene trying to assess this, what would that be like?
Stressful.
Right.
Stressful, and I mean, they have to make a lot of decisions really quickly. And so if I hate to say it this way, but if I'm a cop and I show up to a situation with the law that someone has to be arrested, which is a good law.
Yes.
I'm going to take somebody who looks like in that moment, primary aggressor.
Right.
I might miss the predominant aggressor.
Yes.
I might not see that in that moment, but no matter what, arresting somebody, as you said, keeps them safe. And so police officers have to make that judgment a lot quicker.
Yes.
And you and I have worked a lot with sometimes men, but more women who are the primary aggressor in their offense, but might not be the predominant aggressor.
Yes.
Right? And
what's the difference?
So a primary aggressor is, so when a cop shows up, they see who, essentially, like, for lack of better ways to say this, who's done the most damage in that moment.
And who started it.
But it's not always who started it, because sometimes people will say, well, they started nagging me, so technically they started it. No, sure, they might have nagged you, but you took it to the next level. So you actually started what is then named abusive, right?
Yes.
Direct abuse, specifically.
Yes.
Criminal abuse. So, but then sometimes later on we find out, oh, wait, they were the primary, but the predominant is the person who is more often than not demonstrating the power and control dynamics and behaviors.
Over time. That's right.
And so sometimes the primary aggressor is responding based on retaliatory abuse. Right? So they are now getting, quote unquote, back at the person who they feel like has been abusing them for a long time. And then they become the abuser in that moment.
That's exactly right.
Yep.
And Nat, I appreciate you breaking that down, because I think one of the things that's tricky is when you have a predominant, that sometimes comes out during the course of treatment. It's hard for us to even know in the beginning. But the primary in that moment, there's a million reasons why a predominant aggressor might get missed. And one of it is the primary aggressor in the offense might be trying to just get rid of the anticipation. And you and I talk, especially in our women's group, about the anticipation of the fight.
Yep.
Sometimes they bring the fight to them.
Yep.
To avoid it building up longer when they might get killed. So it's like, I would rather get in a fight with them in the hallway right now and get shoved than get strangled 2 days from now.
Yeah.
And they know the pattern better than we do.
Yeah.
And so what I wanted to walk through, and Nat, you bring a lot of expertise on this, because we have studied the Gabby Petito situation, because it's so important. And her family is doing such incredible work to educate police, first responders, therapists, everybody. They're doing everything they possibly can to try to keep women and men, but mostly women,
Yeah.
safe
Yep.
in these situations. And so I wanted to talk for a minute, Nat, about where they went wrong in
The
the Gabby
cops.
Petito law enforcement, where they went
Yeah.
wrong in this, and how we can use the predominant aggressor analysis to really talk about what went wrong.
Yes. Okay. So what went wrong is, first off, Numbnuts talked about his wife or ex-wife,
Where we call him Deputy Doodah.
Deputy Doodah.
Respectfully, also critically, we are calling you Deputy Doodah.
Yes. Don't edit my numbnuts.
Numbnuts will remain. Garrett, leave in numbnuts. Leave in numbnuts.
So, he first off compared her anxiety to his wife, maybe now ex-wife. If I was his wife, I would be his current ex-wife. After that debacle.
Yes.
So first of all, he saw that she was anxious. Okay. Then the way that she was presenting and the way that Brian was presenting was vastly different. And there's a lot of psychologists who've gotten into this in the documentary. So if you've watched the documentaries, you probably already know this. But the way she was presenting was scared, frantic, very sad, super tearful, and really just wanted her mom. I mean, she said that. She just wanted to call her mom. She wanted her mom.
And she admitted hitting him.
Yeah.
In fairness to police,
well,
they roll up. She did admit hitting him.
She admitted hitting him, but she said she was trying to make it to where he didn't go to jail.
Yes.
She was protecting him.
Yes. And the context is so important in a predominant aggressor analysis, because they literally warn that the calm and collected party is often the aggressor.
So that was him.
And that was him. And if you look at the videos, look at the body cam video.
He's laughing with the cops.
Calm as a cucumber. He's just living his best life.
They came back and said, we have deemed her the predominant or the primary aggressor. And he laughed.
And they should have seen. No, he did. He laughed. So abused this man was. He's laughing about it. It's a sign of coercive control, which is a more subtle, not any less dangerous form of domestic violence.
So in that moment, here's the thing. I don't even actually think this is true, but I'm going to just say it for the sake of our mini today. In that moment, she may have been what we would call the primary aggressor by hitting him.
No, because he hit her first.
I know, but just for the sake of what we're talking about.
In this moment when they show up.
For what the cops saw him swerve.
But that should matter.
No, I know.
It should matter.
I know. But she, they swerved. She admitted to hitting him.
Yes.
She did not say he hit her first.
Yes.
That came into the picture because of the call, which they blatantly ignored. They said in the call, I saw a man hit a woman and they got into a van, slap her. They got into a van and drove off. Which
was initially why
the cops got called.
So
that is why, actually, as Janine was saying, she's not the primary or the predominant, but she's not the primary. But for what specifically she said in that moment, she said, yes, I did hit him in that moment. So they took that and ran with primary, even though the amnesia kicked in for them and they forgot the whole police call, apparently.
Yeah.
Predominant aggressor, as Janine was saying, is the cool, calm, collected one.
Yes.
They're the one. They also might
typically, not always, but typically.
They might also be saying, yeah, they're abusive, or they hit me, or they
it's just another day, another Thursday.
She scratched me, whatever. So it's important to know the difference, though.
That's why the predominant aggressor analysis is so important. Because in this particular case, there were a couple things that were really important. Brian had some visible scratches on his face and arms.
Yep.
Which is interesting. Typically when a woman, in my experience, I'm not citing research in this moment.
Yep.
But in my experience, which was aligned with research, which makes sense.
Yep.
Women typically do not scratch men out of the blue to start an offense.
No.
They might hit them. We see that, okay? But when he had scratches on his face and his arms, that feels to me like reactive injuries anyway.
Yes.
That's not
Yes.
typically the first thing.
Yes.
Gabby, on the other hand, her injuries were not super apparent, although when you look at the body cam footage, you really can see some, but because she was crying,
Yeah.
I think it was hard for them to see swelling and some of the things that may have been going on.
I mean, she had
been hit in the face.
She had been hit in the face, and you can tell that in the camera, in the footage.
It's red, and she had blood on her nose and left eye and a scratch on her cheek.
Yep.
She talked about the fact that Brian had grabbed her face to, quote unquote, shut her up or calm her down.
Yep.
Which is an act of physical control. Also, you wouldn't know this unless you're a DV therapist, probably, or law enforcement. But I think we know this more than law enforcement because we spend time getting the rest of the story. Grabbing someone's face is a second away from strangulation.
Yeah.
And what we now know is he had strangled her. We don't know if he'd strangled her prior to this, but I believe he had.
Mm-hmm.
But that is ultimately how she died.
Yeah.
So whenever Nat and I see in an offense history that someone has grabbed someone's face, that motion, I'm doing it to Nat right now. I'm sitting across the room and I'm like, rah!
Yeah, she's not actually touching my face.
Tiny little baby hands. Yeah. But I'm showing, that is so close to strangulation. It's one of the reasons that if you're looking at this, they missed a lot of things. They missed a lot of things. The other thing too, when we get into coaching of a victim or an offender, honestly, when they're interviewing, one of the officers was really trying to get Gabby to say she didn't mean to hurt him. And what people think is the officer probably did this to try to avoid the mandatory arrest law to allow them to just separate. Well, so that was how the officer got around the mandatory arrest law. The issue with that is
they worked harder
at
not arresting somebody than it would have been to just arrest somebody.
And they thought they were doing them a favor. And the thing that really strikes me is it was internalized misogyny. That's what's so hard for me, which is not uncommon in law enforcement. They want to keep women safe. I don't think cops become cops because they don't like people. Most of them go in wanting to protect people.
Well, and most of them know that men are more often the predominant aggressor.
They learn that in police academy, and the problem is they come in with their own set of biases, just like everyone does. And in that moment, I'm telling you that officer had internalized misogyny. He just did. He was talking about his current ex-wife, whoever it was, can't remember off the top of my head, being
women
so emotional. And he made a decision when he rolled up. He saw a tear-stained face in a young woman. He thought he was helping both of them by letting them just go to their corners to cool off. That was a male-centered interpretation of what was going on. He missed it completely.
Yeah. And didn't see that because of how Brian was communicating, did not see him
as a threat. Even though he was probably terrifying immediately before that.
Correct.
Because they can turn that on and off.
Yeah.
To a degree.
Well,
right?
And I mean, everyone gets a little more charming when a cop walks in.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, he was just chilling. For somebody who'd been abused, he was chilling. So they had the investigative report in 2022, and they concluded the following about the Moab officers. They failed to identify that while she was the aggressor in that specific moment, when the officer kind of witnessed the van swerving and whatever else, she was the long-term victim of domestic violence. They also did not do a lethality assessment tool. One of them's called the LAP, and they did not do that. When you do the LAP assessment, the lethality assessment, they might have gotten the information out of Gabby that she'd been strangled before.
Yeah.
They may have gotten some of those pieces that they desperately needed to keep her safe. And the other thing is they miscategorized.
100%.
They just miscategorized, and they left the victim, Petito, without legal protection or a formal no contact cooling off period. And they protected Laundrie. And you and I have said, even if they got it all the way wrong and arrested her, it'd be better.
She would still be alive.
And that's why the not mutual, but the mandatory arrest laws are helpful.
Mm-hmm.
I'm concerned about the number of women being arrested. Honestly, I do think
Yeah.
we work literally, Nat and I just walked out of a women's group. That's the truth.
Yeah,
We work with
literally.
women and we love working with women.
Women's DV group.
And men. Yeah, women's DV group. These are domestic violence offenders that we have evaluated and they're doing treatment.
Yeah.
Even if she'd been arrested wrongly, I believe that she would have contacted her parents and she'd likely be alive. So
yeah,
it just matters. And we're going to do a case on Friday that is going to speak to some of these dynamics a little bit and the importance of getting this right.
Mm-hmm.
But we are working to train law enforcement. Gabby Petito, the Gabby Petito Foundation is amazing.
Yeah.
And they're working so hard to change this in honor of their daughter. And so we're going to share our episodes because we have how many? At least two, maybe 3 episodes on Gabby Petito. 2. We will post those. And then we also want to direct you to the Petito Foundation. And if you are a first responder, if you know first responders, please, please, please have conversations with them and direct them towards this information.
Yeah.
Have conversations about it. We really want people to understand this dynamic.
Yeah. And if you are law enforcement who knows this, continue to educate your fellow police officers, people you're training. If this is something that you have been trained in and, there's DV units now, which is awesome.
Yes.
Please, please, please continue to teach this because it's such a big deal.
Well, and I'm going to tell you one last thing, actually, as I'm sitting here in this office and I'm remembering, we had a situation a few months ago where we did have a woman here who'd been hurt by her partner. And we called one law enforcement agency and they came over. We called that one in on purpose because we were hoping for an appropriate approach. And the officer who showed up was kind and understanding and listened to us. We're neutral. We're literally, we're not in it. Listened to us, communicated well with the victim of domestic violence who is currently in treatment, as not a victim. And a second law enforcement agency rolled up because it was out of jurisdiction and that officer handled it completely different, shut this person down, and this victim went back into her hidey hole, and we have not been able to assist in the ways that we would love to. So this matters so much. How we show up matters.
How you approach it, everything.
And if you have a friend who's reporting, and I have sat with a girlfriend who's reported this, oh my God, fight like hell for your friend. You listen, you're not going to get arrested for asking an officer to explain how they're going to keep your person safe.
Right.
It is fair to ask that question, and I hope they'll show up right.
Yep.
And if they don't, send us the name of the department. We'll reach out to go train them.
We will. That's our next goal.
That's our next goal. It's on the ever-growing list of things that we're doing.
Yep.
So thank you guys for tuning into this one. We'll post probably Nat because she's better at this than me, but we will post our Gabby Petito episodes and point you towards the foundation. If you can donate, please do. They're doing great things.
They really are, and they're wonderful humans.
They're wonderful people. We've had the pleasure to hang out with them a little bit, and really, we need to support their mission. Their mission's amazing.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for tuning in, and we will see you on Friday.
As always.
Bye, forensic friends. I'm Janine.
And I'm Nat.
And as always, thanks for listening, and join us next week for more crime, psychology, and heart.